Hey everyone, this is Vika from After Dark Gaming, just coming in, want to talk, do my secondary vlog here. Unfortunately, my camera, and I did not notice this until I posted it, turns out that my computer is complete shit now, and I can't record or anything that happens to be, on my camera, which kind of irks me in all sorts of ways, but that's just what's going on. So from here on out, I'm probably just going to play a random game or play one of my games and chit chat with y'all that way, because that's what all the kids are doing, right? So today we have Rollercoaster Tycoon, and I want to talk about a few things. First thing, just in case you couldn't hear over the last video, there's a thing I wanted to do called Young in America, which is a vlog, or was supposed to be a vlog, which is now a vlog, about those who are young in America in the 2000s, and I thought that would be kind of interesting considering it's always different compared on who you ask. So you have a bunch of people that say, oh, you know what, it's just like everywhere else, and then you have people who are of different groups and different minorities, and then of course the majority versus the minority and all that fun stuff, so you get like a whole slew of different answers. Like, personally, my answers are going to be different from someone who is in a heterosexual relationship who is cisgendered versus me and Damien, who are a ex-lesbian couple, which now is a hetero couple, but at the same time it's also a gay couple because I am gender fluid and he is transgender, so that is a big thing there. But one thing here is that I want to talk about a few different topics. Like today's topic, I want to talk about litha, which is it's a Shabbat or Sabbath, a holiday for Wiccans and pagans. If you don't know what a Wiccan or a pagan is, it's not Harry Potter. It's something along the lines of nature worship and something along the lines of using energy. And there's a big difference between Wiccan tradition, which is traditionally Celtic, and then you also have the pagan traditions, which are all over the world. Like you have Egyptian, you have heathenry, which is what I fall into with the Norse and Germanic gods. And then you have, like, Persian and all these different ones. Amaterasu from the Japanese pantheon. You have the Celtic pantheon, the Britannica, as well as the Anglo-Saxon pantheon. You have the African pantheons and all that sort of thing. Native American pantheons. For crying out loud, there's a whole slew of them. Do your research. But today I wanted to go ahead and give a few things here for all my new people who are now watching this. I apologize if you watched the first one and you were all sorts of confused. But I figured this might be the best way to go since my phone is the best microphone. Just thing here, my name is Vika. I go by they, them, their, which is gender neutral pronouns. Honestly, I really don't care, but it's one of those things that I feel like that's the most respectful way to address me. But that's just me personally. I am 25 years old, and I am something else. I follow the heathen pantheon, which is like Loki, Thor, Odin, which is called Wodan in my tradition. My matron is Hel, or Hela, who is the underworld goddess and the daughter of Loki. I tend to follow Odin, or Wodan, for a good chunk of it, as well as my patron. However, I've started to notice I'm starting to follow more of Loki's stance, which is kind of interesting. My husband, he's eclectic, but he tends to follow the Morgan around and Loki around. So, he's one of those things that it depends on the person. Now, what I want to do for this video is that I want to talk about a few things, just my own personal experiences. If you have your own experiences, that's cool. Just keep in mind that please be respectful down in the comments, just because this is my own personal experience. I grew up in a multi-traditional household, meaning that my father was pagan / shamanism, and then my mother brought me up Catholic at one point, but she was traditionally Jewish. The only reason that she did that is because her boyfriend, after my mom and my dad divorced, was Catholic, and he kind of wanted us to do the thing. So there was that, but I grew up traditionally Jewish and pagan, which is a very odd mix, considering one's the devil, and because one uses magic, even though it's a form of prayer, but we'll get into that later. I wanted to talk about this just because this is my own experience personally, also because this comes to the whole freedom of religion, which I feel that it's proper to have it. But let me explain. Before I hear a bunch of boos, let me explain. I believe that religious freedom should be included for everyone, not just Christians, which means that Christians have a right to say. However, Islamic people should have the right to say, Jewish people should have the right to say, pagans should have the right to say, and atheists should have the right to say. Anyone who falls under any sort of theocracy or any sort of theology of some sort should have an equal say. So it should not be, oh, well, you're gay. It's kind of like the whole traditional wedding cake thing. If someone really doesn't want to do your wedding cake, I understand that this is a very obscene topic. However, I feel as a pansexual woman, or a pansexual person, rather, that if you don't want to do my wedding cake, that's fine. You're probably going to do a shit job anyway, so I want to have someone who supports us. That's why I'm having my friend Maria, who is doing our wedding cake, so I'm excited for that just because she is an awesome person. I love teaching with her, so it's just one of those things that's just like, she's so great. But yeah, no, that's one of those things. Just so you guys know, I'm also a parapro on the side of this. I finally got my first time full-time job, so that's exciting. Just because it's been rough since I moved here from Nevada. And between me being super sick in the hospital twice and not being able to do what I need to do, and no insurance on top of it, I've been paying bills upon bills upon bills, including rent, including food, including everything, no help. It's been fun. So I just wanted to play this game and see what you guys thought. But speaking of witchcraft and that's where I stand on the totem pole of everything, is that I feel everyone has an equal right, equal say. Majority, minority, everyone. But that's just because I have privilege in coming from a standpoint of everyone in that sort of set. I do have privilege being of pale skin. However, my father is Native American and my mother is Jewish, which are two fun areas. But that's for another video. I will explain my experience with that later. But I was talking about this in, what was it? We were talking about litha. See, this is why I need a script. It's because if I didn't have something attaching my head to my shoulders, if my neck wasn't there, attaching my head to my shoulders, my head would have rolled off a long time ago and I probably wouldn't have a head. You guys would probably be hearing me from being bounced around a lot. But speaking of which, litha is the Sabbath where again, it's a Celtic origin / Germanic origin, like in Germany. It's celebrated tomorrow. This is the eve of it, so I thought this video would be appropriate to have it on the eve of litha, which is the 24th. Today's the 23rd, so tomorrow I'll have an actual video from when me and Damien go to the beach. But speaking of which, litha is the holiday where the goddess and the god are pregnant, essentially, and the summer solstice is their blessing to the earth. So it's the hottest and the longest day of the year. So it's kind of interesting to see how that happens. Now, as a witch, I have had multiple different experiences. Most of them are either neutral to negative. I don't exactly have a very good story right now in my head, but the first one is when I was working. Mind you, I grew up in a super small town, super bigoted town. So with me coming from a Jewish home and a pagan home, it was no walk in the park because unfortunately there's a lot of pastors in that area who own their own church, and a lot of people like to be, sheep and follow them. And yeah, a lot of the pastors' kids were dicks to me, but that's just me. Story aside, I used to be called a devil worshiper along with the rest of us, that sort of deal. There's that. And then with my family, if I will, my father just always told me no pay of mind, it's karma, just do what you need to do. And, he was in the Native American pantheon of Seneca, which is interesting because that's a dying faith of itself as shamanism. But that was kind of... sorry, I'm just having a small breather because My father, he was a good man, but he was a bad man at the same time. He was good until drugs came into him, where he abused drugs while on anti-anxiety medication. So it kind of warped him, and I haven't talked to him since I was like 16. I'm now 25, and he's been dead for a year, and I'm slowly regretting this. So it's one of those things that I just have to talk and talk and talk. So hopefully you guys aren't finding this boring. But speaking of which, just keep in mind that bullying is awful, especially when you're a young teenager learning about your faith and your community, and especially when that community is teeny tiny. But there is one thing I used to think about, and it kind of helped me prep for the future, how people can be awful as well, even as adults. Mind you, I used to work at a timeshare company. We'll call it Emerald Resorts. Sorry if there is an Emerald Resorts. I'm just trying to keep myself sane right now. And trying to keep myself from getting into any more shit with them. But this was a company out in Vegas. And I used to work for Emerald. I was a reservations agent too. Which means that I was often the manager on duty. Well, we'll call this girl who, for some reason, she just absolutely hated me. We'll just call her Sticky, for so many reasons. Sticky had this type of personality that she was always right. You know, she often told me that, you know, I'm better than you. Or she would have the attitude of, I'm better than you. And granted, I was raised that everyone was the same, that no one's better than anybody, but I digress. So her and I didn't really get along very well. But I still always try to give the olive branch of peace. You know, dude, I'm trying to be nice to you. What the fuck? And there goes my monetization. But yeah. Essentially what happened was that I was doing tarot card readings, mind you, with Emerald Resorts, is that we used to have 30 minutes of free time after the queue was completely clear. Which means some days we sat there for 30 minutes, some days we were over 30 minutes. Just because it's one of those things that we were told to wait, essentially, and just do the thing. And it's one of those things that a lot of us had our own free time. And mind you, I like to read my tarot cards when I'm bored. So I used to give readings to my coworkers who wanted them, and, you know, Sticky didn't like this very much. She was a very devout Christian girl, and she did not like this very much at all. Well, there was a supervisor that I really, really liked, and we'll call her Sasha. Sasha was a young lesbian woman, and, you know, she seemed herself very open. I was the very first one to come out to her, and she seemed very nice. She told me about her partner and all that sort of when Damien and I were first dating. What happened is that she looks over and I'm giving people card readings and goes, "Oh, what you doing over there?" And this girl, we'll call her Beautiful because that's what her name means in Spanish. I don't know why, but that's what she says. I say bullshit on that, but she said, "Oh, Vika's doing tarot card readings. Would you like one?" And, you know, she's just smiling. And Sticky stands up and she goes, "No, because Miss Sasha is the person of God. She's a daughter of God. She is not a person of the devil like Vika." And I'm just like, you know what? I'm just going to turn the other cheek. I'm just going to go ahead and, you know, be the true person here and just ignore her at this point. Because you know what? There's a special place in hell for people like her. I digress. I continue reading, and we'll call this next manager a Portuguese because, mind you, he's a very good friend of mine, and he is old school, like super old school, but he's very open-minded. The only reason I call him Portuguese is because he spoke Portuguese, and he asked me, "Hey Vika, what you doing over there?" And I, without missing a beat, Sticky stands up again and says, "She's worshiping the devil." And it's one of those things that I was just so done with this girl that I just like shook my head and I packed up my things and put them back in my desk. You know, enough is enough with that. So what happened was that afterwards, the next day comes around and I decide to talk to Sticky one-on-one. see what the heck was going on, if there's something that I did, and I try to be friendly. I'm like, hey, look, I know you don't like me very much, but not for nothing, Sticky. That was very uncalled for, and it's actually part of my own faith. So for you to consider me as part of the devil, that's not very cool. And she turns around when I'm missing a beat, staring at me square in the eye and saying, yeah, well, that's against my faith. And it's wrong. You're going to hell. And she walked off. And I'm just like, the flip happened there. It's one of those things that's like, okay, what do I do from here? So, you know, karma is a wench in a way, because saying what happened is, I had nothing to do with it, but she kept missing work because she kept getting sick, and she was just missing work to miss work at this point. Well, Emerald Resorts has a very strict policy that you can only miss 1 day a month. 1 day every few weeks or so. And it's not that strict, but it's actually a really good policy considering there's a lot of people that have habits of doing this. And unfortunately, she made it to where she had 2 strikes. Well, the 3rd strike came across and they told her no more outs. Well, she got really, really sick with strep throat and she ended up leaving because she came in 4 hours late. Mind you, I had nothing to do with this. I just thought it was the best karma I've ever heard in my life. But that's just me personally. Anyway, this video is getting long. Best words of advice to any young witches out there: be careful of who you expose yourself to, and make sure that you are speaking to people who will treat you with respect. There should be no reason why people should not treat you with respect, and just know that you are absolutely valid. And if you ever want to talk about something, leave a comment in the comment section below or shoot me a message. I'll talk to you. Remember, guys, stay spooky, stay safe, and blessed litha, my little hatchlings. I'll talk to y'all later. Peace!